Hey, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, not a very positive story. This one is sad. So bodybuilder Tom Prince, who was a very prolific bodybuilder in the late 90s and early 2000s specifically, unfortunately just passed away at the age of 52. Now, Tom turned pro back in 1997, where he won the Nationals that year, and would wind up having a relatively short pro career. He retired in 2002. He was forced to retire due to some health issues, specifically kidney issues that were caused at the time by a genetic blood condition. Now, some reports are saying that the cause of death is a recent battle with cancer. Now, that remains unconfirmed if that specifically was the cause of death, and I guess we have no idea if his death or the cancer were in any way correlated to the blood condition that had led him to retiring from bodybuilding back in 2002. Now, Tom never actually won any shows as a pro. His best placing was actually third at the 2001 Night of Champions, which is now known as the New York Pro, the third biggest show in bodybuilding behind the Arnold Classic in the Olympia. And his only Olympia appearance was that same year, where he placed 16th at the 2001 Mr. Olympia. So I wanted to start out this video with a little bit of that history in a moment of silence for Tom Prince. May he rest in peace. All right, now next up in the news, let's get to some pretty interesting stuff here. So this story, Larry Wheels and Big Ramy, this is probably the reason why a lot of you guys clicked this video, is seeing this in the thumbnail. Larry Wheels, as you guys know, has become a pretty prolific arm wrestler. A lot of his videos feature him arm wrestling some of the top names in various strength sports. Well, he made bodybuilding no exception to that, challenging Big Ramy to what he calls an official arm wrestling match. And I was actually really impressed to see in the video, Big Ramy actually beats Larry Wheels, and Larry Wheels is a pretty good arm wrestler. He's had a lot of practice. He's got the technique down. I'm assuming Big Ramy has little to no arm wrestling experience as far as actual competitive arm wrestling technique compared to Larry. And by all accounts, this was legit. Larry didn't let him win. Larry was actually trying, and Ramy beats him. So I thought this was really cool to see, and one of the reasons why I wanted to include that in this video is because I want to see more of this from Ramy. I think it's cool to see Ramy doing these big, high-profile social media collabs with guys like Larry Wheels. As Mr. Olympia, that kind of comes with a little bit of a responsibility to be out there, promoting the brand, being an ambassador. And this, what he did with Larry, is a perfect example of what the fans want to see and what being an ambassador is all about. And I thought this was really cool. Props to Ramy for doing this collab, and I think a lot of people enjoyed getting to see this rare crossover of Larry Wheels and Big Ramy. I don't think they've ever done a video together, and if they have, I haven't seen it. But now I guess there's only one thing left for them to do, and that would be for Larry Wheels to talk Big Ramy into doing a strict curl competition between the two of them, having a little bit of a friendly strict curl off over there in Dubai. And actually, thumbs up this video if you want to see Big Ramy attempt a max strict curl with Larry Wheels. Now, next up in the news, let's get to some Arnold Classic physique updates. Some of the guys competing in that show have posted some recent updates, including the likes of Regan Grimes. We got to see some updates from Regan during his recent collab with Logan Franklin. Logan Franklin working on some posing with Regan Grimes. And we are now within 4 weeks of the 2022 Arnold Classic, less than a month away from seeing these guys step on stage. Now, I know that Regan said, he was talking in a podcast recently with Jay Cutler and manager Matt, and he said that he was pretty sick with the virus recently for about a week, or maybe even said over a week, and that set him back a little bit on his prep. So I'm kind of curious to see how that impacts him as far as his Arnold Classic placing is concerned. Of course, he's going into this off of the KO Pro Show win, the Legion Sports Fest runner-up, and then, of course, at the Olympia, he was 15th. But going from 15th to 2nd to that win, I think a lot of people are expecting a little bit of redemption from Regan at this Arnold Classic. This is a big show for him to try to get into a top spot, like top 6. And I think, honestly, if Regan were able to land anywhere in the top 6 of this lineup, it would be massive for him. Even if it was just 6th, I think that would be a tremendous accomplishment for Regan and put some tremendous momentum for him going forward into next year or this year's Olympia. But to me, looking at these photos and looking at these updates, he doesn't really look that far behind many of the physique updates that I've seen from some of the other competitors in this lineup. So hopefully that, the virus didn't set him back too bad. Now we got a physique update also at 4 weeks out from Samson Dauda, who is also going into this Arnold Classic following a pro win at the Prague Pro, where he beat some big names in this lineup, including Regan Grimes, including Nathan Diasha, and also including Rafael Brandao, who is now not doing the show. And I've said this before, but I really like Samson's structure. You can see it really well, especially from the front in these physique updates, the small waist, the V-taper. But he's proven now that he's got size to hang with some of these bigger guys. I mean, he's been a top placer in these lineups over these past couple shows that he's done, eventually winning the Prague Pro. So he brings kind of that, the same attribute that we appreciate in a guy like Regan, in a guy like Rafael, more aesthetics from a men's open guy. So really what I'm going to be looking for from Samson is conditioning, because when he nails his conditioning, he's very tough to beat. Now, next up, we've got another physique update from Ramon Dino. This coming from the Renato Cariani YouTube channel, which has 3.29 million subscribers. And I know it seems like we just talked about him in the last video, and that's because we did. But I think this physique update is a much better, much higher quality, much better lit update than the other one that was clearly shot on an iPhone. And I just want to say, I also think it's really cool that when we're talking about a lot of these Brazilian guys, the Brazilian bodybuilding fan base is one of the biggest fan bases in bodybuilding right now. If you look at some of these channels where you see these guys appear, like you see Rafael and Horse MD, and of course Ramon Dino on all these different Brazilian channels, they all have like 1 million+ subscribers. Bodybuilding is huge in South America. And I think this video being much more higher quality, you can really get a better feel for how good Ramon really is. I see a lot of people sometimes when I talk about Ramon in these videos saying that Ramon is just hype. But I really don't think that's true. I think Ramon is he's one of those physiques where it's really what classic is all about. His posing is good. I do think he needs to bring up his back. The other point that I think he needs to bring up is his chest. But I think his conditioning here looks on point for 4 weeks out of the Arnold. And like I said, I think, his biggest challenge at the Arnold is going to be getting past Breon. I can see Ramon in the top 3. I can see Ramon getting good comparisons with Terrence. I think him, and like I said, 4th place at the Olympia, so he was 5th, and in 4th place you had Urs. I think him and Urs are much closer as far as comparison-wise than him and Breon. So Breon is where the difficulty is going to be for him, because I think Breon has a phenomenal back. But I really have a feeling that this Arnold is going to be a show that leaves a lot of classic physique fans saying, wow, I mean, that guy looked incredible. Like they said about Logan Franklin. Logan didn't win last year's Arnold, but a lot of people were talking about him afterwards because of his posing, because of his conditioning, because of how impressive his physique was, even though he didn't win. And I think we're going to see something similar happen with Ramon. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. A little bit of a quick one today, but make sure you guys leave a like on the video. The thumbs ups, they help out a lot. Make sure you subscribe if you have not subscribed yet already. That helps out a lot. Click that bell notification icon. Make sure you're notified every time I upload. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.